Hello fellow explorers, my name is Tony Tapi and today we'll be talking about the planet Mercury. So Mercury is the planet that is very close to the Sun. In fact, it's the closest to the Sun out of all the other planets shown here. Its orbit is as close as 47 million kilometers, which is the equivalent to 29 million miles from the Sun, and it orbits as far as 70 million kilometers, which is the equivalent of 43 million miles from the Sun. Mercury is the smallest planet in our solar system. In fact, it's only slightly larger than our moon, shown here. For a different perspective, we can go ahead and look at this, and it shows us how many Earths would fit into each planet. So Mercury would only fit about 0.06 Earths inside of it, while Mars would fit about 0.15 Earths, and Jupiter would fit a big difference of 890 Earths. So Mercury has a very thin atmosphere along the outside of the crust, or the surface. It's so thin that it's known as an ecosphere. The ecosphere is made up of atoms blasted off by the surface by the solar wind striking micrometeoroids. The very next layer of Mercury is the crust, which is the surface. The crust is something that we're going to discuss a little bit more in detail on our next slide, so I'm going to hold off on the crust. The next layer, which is the middle layer, is known as the mantle. Now, the mantle is made up of silicate rocks, and it's about 600 kilometers thick. The next inner layer is going to be the core of Mercury. The core is comprised mostly of iron and accounts for about 80% of the total mass of Mercury. So one of the very first things that I've noticed about the planet Mercury was that it looked very similar to the moon's surface. Well, this is because it's also a rocky planet that has the same cratered surface as shown here in the video and right here on the North Pole and South Pole images. And in these craters, they've actually found that Mercury has small ice caps that are frozen deep within these craters here. And that's just because they're very much shaded from the sunlight. Which is very fascinating if you consider the fact that the surface temperature of Mercury itself can reach up to 800 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's also the closest distance from the Sun. One of the most fascinating facts I found while researching Mercury was that it had a very thin atmosphere that's comprised of mostly helium, hydrogen, oxygen, and sodium. Now, this is fascinating to me because all of these elements can be found right here on Earth, and we pretty much come into contact with these same elements pretty frequently, if not on a daily basis. So I just thought that was cool that we had those same elements here. So prior to 2008, when the Messenger spacecraft arrived, we knew very little about the planet Mercury, and it was up for debate as to whether or not we should continue researching the planet in the future. Now, personally, I think we should definitely continue to learn more, because while we have learned a tremendous amount of information, we still don't have all of the answers to our questions. In addition to this, I think there are significant things to learn about Mercury's magnetic field because it deflects charged particles very much in the same way that planet Earth does. So I thought that was definitely a point of interest. Here are the reference materials that I've used throughout the presentation, and that's about it. Thank you so much for watching.